My name is Carole Gendron. I'm a Global Director of Data and Analytics in Philips. I'm leading a team of data scientists and data analysts in India and in Europe. And I'm also an artist. So I'm working at the intersection between artificial intelligence and art. And actually, in the island of Mallorca, you will be able to see a bit of my work. Can we move to the next slide? Thank you. So I would like to start with Ada Lovelace. That's a very interesting woman. That's the first woman known, the mother of technology. Everything started in 1850. So she's the daughter of a very famous poet, Lord Byron, and this lady was very gifted with mathematics. And actually, she was working on what we called computer in those times. So computer was people who were working with calculation. This mathematician lady was actually seeing the power of computer and the future of computer, seeing that computer could go beyond purely calculation. She was actually we are also calling her the poetical scientist because of her dad, who was a poet, and poem is about structure. She could apply the structure of poems on algorithms, so with a set of rules. She was also visionary because she could anticipate that computer could help people in society to collaborate. We can go to the next one. Thank you. So that was a long time ago. Then we had a winter of women in technology. We had to wait for 1 century during the Second World War. The World War gave actually voice to women because men were going to war, so were outside, and the women were starting to lead the country. And here we get the first interesting woman, Eddie Lamar. She was actually an actress. So she was a very famous actress, Austrian and American. In the studio of the MGM of Hollywood, she was considered as the most beautiful woman in the world. And what is interesting is this woman, who was a really beautiful woman, a really great and known artist, actress. She was also by hobby and self-taught mathematician and inventor. She was in the time of war working on an innovation which was the founder of the Wi-Fi, the GPS, and Bluetooth. At this time, the planes and the war couldn't be detected, and she created a system geolocalization based in order to help the planes to find their target in the war. What was interesting is this woman actually asked to register a patent, but the US Navy refused because she was a woman. So it was a very interesting profile. The second interesting woman in the history was Grace Hopper, a military woman, and she created the first programming language. She had a capability which was translating figures into words. She created the foundation of the new computer language that we know today, which are Java or Python. And she was capable to translate those figures words in English into a language of computers that a computer could understand. Then we get another interesting woman, John Bull, from UK. She was unknown till recently, and what she created, it was the first dating app. So all the Tinders, OkCupid, all the known app of dating today are based on her research. She had a very scientific approach for the dating, which was based on a survey, sociological survey, and also a decision tree in order to enable match. So today, when we are using dating apps, we are leveraging a technology. Interestingly enough, she's in the same situation that Eddie Lamar. The credit of her invention was attributed to some men in Harvard, until a researcher started to deep dive and find out that she was the one that created this algorithm and this approach, which was very innovative. What we can see with this second generation of women innovating in technology, it's they put the human in the center of the technology. They saw beyond the figures and the pure calculation of the power of computer. They brought, the humanity inside technology. That was for the past, and we've got very few women in those time. But what is interesting, it's now we've got new ladies leading the world leading the tech world, and we've got a very strong profile of women leading as CEOs, high-level companies. If we start with Meg Whitman, Meg Whitman was the CEO of HP, and she had a very different style of leadership. She was questioning people until they would find out their own conclusion. So she brought a new style within HP, a more feminine leadership, feminine style, and she's known for that. She was leading HP for a while, and she also was the previous CEO of eBay. She's got a long track history of leadership within the tech company, which is something new, and which was the rise of women is appearing with internet in 2000. And then we get another interesting woman, which is Ginny Rometty, IBM CEO, and she was a very visionary woman. So when she arrived in IBM was very centered on back-end, on hardware, and she decided to move the company toward more software company as we know it today. So she set the foundation of artificial intelligence, of cognitive data science, and she really brought this new vision for the company. And thanks to her, IBM could create Watson, which is one of the leading software for artificial intelligence. So she brought completely a shift within IBM. And something interesting, she also had a very feminine touch, which was to remove administrative tasks within IBM, and she really promoted the communication cross levels. So not having the leadership in his own world and the lower level in their own world. She really promoted the cross communication, cross level in order to make IBM what is IBM today. So then we've got Suzanne Wojcicki. She started with Google. She's one of the belonging to the founders of Google, and she started in Google as marketing manager long time ago, and a few years ago she was promoted as the CEO of YouTube. She also had a very different approach, a feminine approach for YouTube management, in which she decided to tackle the violence and the hate speech. So the last 10 years she's been working a lot on controlling the platform and reducing this type of problems. And then the fourth lady, we get Sheryl Sandberg, which is COO, so Chief Operating Officer within Facebook. So 10 years ago, a bit more, 2007, she met Mark Zuckerberg in a Christmas party, and he was really impressed with her background. She's coming from Harvard, very, very high-level lady, and he decided to offer her, to create a job for her in order to help the company to become profitable, because at that time, Facebook was a lot about creating a cool platform with cool functionality, but was not profitable at all. So she started to have a smooth approach, bringing advertising and making Facebook profitable again. So that's for the ladies today. So we see a lot of ladies now leading those companies, which is a change. So in the past, it was really few women, genius, but very isolated. What we see now, and especially in the US, is we've got more and more women. They are bringing a new touch, a feminine touch in their leadership, bringing the human in the center of the companies or the technology. So it's very complementary from men, and we see now that they are leading the world as the men. And now, if we look look at a bit the future, I was making a bit of research to see the presence of women in shaping the future. So to start with, the startups, we see that 1/3 of the founders are actually females today. It's a Silicon Valley Bank survey led in the US, UK, Canada, and China, so pretty wide. And what we see, it's 1/3 are women. So we are not at complete parity. We are not in a complete balance between men and women, but we are getting there. And I was pretty happy to see that already 1/3. It's something interesting. And something talking about the future, it's talking about the students. Sorry. And when we are looking at the computer science students per gender, we see a difference between the US and India. And I was finding that very interesting because India, that's also the future of the world for population. And when we see in the US, and that's a bit the same conclusion for Europe, we see that 80% of the computer science students are male, so 20% are female, because of perception mainly, because we think as a woman that this type of job and technology, it's a male world. And in India, we get a different setup, and we are not seeing this difference between men and women. And actually, the students, it's half-half, so following the diversity that we get in the population. Women in India are following this type of career of computer science because they believe that's where they're going to find some jobs. And they are not seeing at all computer science or technology in general as a male world. And knowing that the Indian culture is also very traditional, so we could expect it. But it's not the case. They're really seeing that as a new career where they can find jobs. And they don't see that at all as a territory for men. So what we see, it's when we are in a society thinking that it's not possible, we are making it not possible. And what India is showing us is if we think that it's possible, we can make it, and we can have the same presence and the same diversity and really taking our space within the future. So India is really marking the future in that sense. And I just wanted to conclude with the future. Also, we are seeing that now we get more and more women on top of being leaders in technology, but we are also starting to lead the engagement toward an unbiased future, because that's one of the biggest challenges that technology is facing. That's the bias in technology. So we get interesting women, very active. One of the most iconic one is Joy Bualwini. She created the Algorithmic Justice League, and it's an organization which looks at the challenge in the bias in the decision-making software. So she was very famous a few years ago playing around with IBM Watson, so the artificial intelligence algorithm from IBM, and showing that a Black woman was not recognized by artificial intelligence. So that raised her attention on the necessity to be more active and to create an unbiased future. So she's very active. I highly recommend you to follow her because she's making great steps toward unbiased future. We've got other women, Brigitte Ada and Karin Sinders, who are very active in feminist data sets. So what they're doing is they're also aware of the bias within technology and artificial intelligence. And what they're trying to do is to bring together women and to unbiased data set in order for algorithm to work and to predict based on unbiased data set with more diversity in terms of women, but also all type of minorities to be represented. So women, we started in 1850 with just one mathematician, a poet and mathematician with a very visionary vision of technology. The Second World War brought more women on the stage, And now with internet, since 20 years, we really see more and more women not even participating, but leading one of the biggest companies. We see the future with students, which are more and more women, and we see that women are more and more involved into shaping the future. So what I wanted to conclude with is behind every successful woman is herself. And that's important. We are making the future. And as the Indian young ladies are showing us, if we believe we can, we can. And the future is ours.